Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the channel. Today, I am joined by my good friend, Caleb Seadog Bravo, to discuss The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This is following the trailer yesterday that kind of blew all of our socks off, Caleb. And I just want to talk about this game. We'll get into the trailer specifically in a little bit, but I want to contextualize this video as just talking about this game and how much, even though I had high expectations, just with this trailer, I feel like they're already kind of being exceeded. I was talking to my buddy Tony, and he said something that kind of resonated with me. He said, and maybe he's watching this, I don't know. Shout out Tony. He said, I can't believe they made Breath of the Wild look simple. Breath of the Wild is one of the greatest games ever made, and they made it look simple by comparison. I can't believe they did that, Caleb.
Well, the thing is, we obviously already knew they were going to reuse the map and like the physics engine and stuff for this sequel. And that was the longest bit of development for that game. All that stuff was already made. Obviously, they tweaked it, obviously. But most of the stuff for this game, I assume, is just content compared to like the mechanics and stuff.
Right, and I mean, a lot of people complained. I shouldn't say a lot, but there are complaints about Breath of the Wild saying, like, oh, there's not a lot to do at certain times when you're, like, walking around. And obviously, for us, we enjoy that exploration. But there are people that kind of were having issue with the lack of just, like, actual substantial dungeons and that kind
lack
of thing.
of variety and, like, depth to the
right
things you can explore.
Right. And this game seems to be answering all those questions or those complaints. I actually started playing Master Mode earlier. First time I'm playing Breath of the Wild in 6 years. And I got off the Great Plateau, and I was just walking around, and I had this moment of like, oh my god. Because I'm already overwhelmed just replaying Breath of the Wild with how much there is, and I just kind of like turned my camera up and was looking at the sky, and it was empty, and I'm like, huh. So playing Tears of the Kingdom is just going to be this on steroids. this feeling of just being completely overwhelmed with this huge world, all of these secrets to find, the story to unfold. Tears of the Kingdom, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a fanboy, but genuinely...
Well, you are anyway. But...
Right, of course. No, I genuinely don't know how they could possibly top this ever again. This game had 10 years of development time. This is probably going to genuinely be, if not just the greatest game ever made, probably in the top 5 for most people, you know?
No, in Breath of the Wild 3, they're going to add space.
Right. I mean, well, that's the thing. I mean, genuinely, I feel bad for the Zelda team after this.
They have to reboot the entire franchise.
They have to, because I don't think they're gonna make a third one. I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest, if they just build upon it again, depending on how this does. But how do you follow up 2 of the greatest games ever made? Because if Breath of the Wild's a 10, and this is just Breath of the Wild but better,
then what the heck is Tears of the Kingdom?
This is just a 12. Like, genuinely, I'm not trying to like overhype it or anything. But I already love Breath of the Wild, and just playing it for a couple hours earlier, I was like, oh, wow, this still holds up. This is still a fantastic game. And now, even with those issues of like, oh, the Divine Beasts aren't great, there's lack of variety, like you said, and this game's fixing all of those things. I genuinely can't believe this is a real product that's coming out in 4 weeks.
Yeah, the thing that's crazy is the Zelda team, first of all, in general, they do a really good job anyway, and they have been for decades. Breath of the Wild was such like a fresh experience, and it added stuff that we hadn't even like considered could be even like in a video game, which is why it was such a big deal when it came out, you know. And that's why, you know, a lot of games, quite frankly, kind of took some of its ideas with, you know, the paraglider and
being nice about it,
and the climbing. They were inspired, but that was obviously a game changer, literally. This game is. I'm sure there's going to be stuff like that too. I don't know if its impact is going to be as big as Breath of the Wild. To be honest, I sort of doubt it.
I don't think so.
But this is definitely at least going to be a better game, at least from what I think.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, you know, I was playing Master Mode earlier, and I was talking to my girlfriend because she was watching me because she's never played Breath of the Wild. And I was just thinking about, and I was talking to her, like, this was Nintendo's first open world game, bro. And they just knocked it out of the park. And now they've taken 6 years to just build it even more, which is crazy. I mean, the only non-Nintendo game that comes close is Elden Ring. And if you play Elden Ring and you've played Breath of the Wild, you can tell From Software was very heavily inspired, let's say, by Breath of the Wild's map. Basically, at this point, It feels like as a fan of video games, it feels like I'm just watching the Zelda team and From Software take turns, just make the greatest game ever made, back to back.
He's taking each other's ideas, be like, let me use that.
Yeah, but like in a wholesome way. No shade, no shade being thrown. They're just
Yeah,
they're
no, of
just
course
making
not. They're
better and
just
better
like they're
games.
like that's a good idea. I
And
should implement that.
this is completely unrelated, but I downloaded the beta for Ubisoft's X Defiant game, which is just a Call of Duty clone, and I was looking at the menu of the game and I'm like, huh, there is no soul in this.
Aw.
Anyway, so yeah, point being, Tears of the Kingdom is going to be a masterpiece. There was a really good trailer, so I guess we'll get into the actual meat of this video, Caleb, and talk about that
Yeah.
trailer. So I already did my analysis, 30-minute analysis, but some more things have come to light. I missed some stuff, obviously. I didn't make notes really for that video. I just kind of went into it. Where do you want to
Yeah.
start, Caleb? Let's get your take on it.
Well, obviously everyone who's watching this has already seen the trailer. Like, they're not gonna click on this and be like, "Damn, there's a new trailer." No, obviously they've seen it, and they've probably seen multiple videos about like discussions and analysis and stuff. But let's just give our take on it because we don't need to analyze everything. I'm sure they've already seen it. They know what's going on. But let's just talk about our opinions about it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Well, I mean, they've already heard my thoughts somewhat, or at least my thoughts 24 hours ago, which I've only gotten more excited since. So Caleb, let's start with you. How are you feeling post for like? I mean, we were waiting for like a big blowout trailer for this game,
Yeah.
and I personally think it's pretty close to the 2017 Breath of the Wild trailer. I don't think it's quite there, but I think it's pretty damn close. So yeah, what did you think of this trailer? Where's your hype level at?
Well, in terms of like comparing it to the 2017 Switch trailer for Breath of the Wild, I would say that trailer, to be honest, was like more hype, and it was better in terms of like feeling sort of inspired to play the game. But this is better in the sense that trailer didn't really show that much new stuff
Mm-hmm.
because the game was already blown out by then. There's still a lot they haven't shown. But this has like more new stuff in it compared to that trailer did.
Right. Well, that's the thing too. With Breath of the Wild trailer, that trailer is incredible, and I still get chills when I watch it. But that was more setting up characters and plot, and showing new parts of the world. I think that's the first time we saw like villages, even maybe. Whereas we didn't know to the extent of what Breath of the Wild's physics engine really could do. This trailer kind of had the best of both worlds, where we saw the goofy shit. We saw the stuff you can do with the new abilities, but we also got those character and the story moments. So in terms of like making me excited to play the game, I think this trailer is actually better. But in terms of just being a hype trailer, I think the other one's probably better. Either way, they're both incredible. There's specifically the music in this trailer is. The music might be better than 2017's trailer. There's I don't know what they call the furry, the Zonai, the not Zonai.
The
I don't even know
furry?
what it is. The furry. Y'all know what I'm talking about. There's a moment where like the music drops when that furry shows up, and then like a little bit later, like some Mario Kart 8 saxophone starts just going off, dude. It's so good.
The thing that's funny is not to talk about the furry, but
Oh,
as
we'll
far as
talk
the
about
music
furry.
goes, oh yeah, we'll get into the furry. But as far as the music goes, first of all, the music that was in the 2017 Breath of the Wild trailer, it was really good, but that music was not in the game. And to be honest, I don't know if this music's going to be in the
No, I
game.
doubt it. I mean,
But
this is
yeah.
like some sort of remix of a bunch of different tracks at once.
Yeah, this has like a bunch of tracks. Like it starts with the sky music,
Because of
and
the
then
main
it
theme.
transforms into the main Zelda theme, and then it goes into the Breath of the Wild theme, like a remix of the original Breath of the Wild theme. So obviously, there's a bunch of stuff going on in this game, and the music kind of shows that. And I thought it was really good. Definitely got me hyped. I doubt that music's gonna be in the game. I'm sure there's gonna be new tracks, but we already know there's some like they're reusing some tracks in the game. But I sort of doubt this sort of remix stuff is gonna be in it.
Yeah. Let's talk story stuff, I guess, or what we
Yeah.
think to be story stuff, or whatever that is. A minute and 20 into the trailer, is that Demise? I feel like that's just Demise. He has like a horn. See, in my analysis, I'm really conflicted because we see Ganondorf later in the trailer, and obviously they look different, but to me, this could just be Ganondorf when he like unleashes his power or something, that kind of thing. But also,
Yeah.
it definitely looks more like Demise to me. So I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, we don't know when that scene takes place in the game. It could be at the end of the game. It could be at the beginning of the game. If it's at the beginning of the game, I think that's just like him gaining
Super
power,
powered
transforming
Ganondorf.
into because obviously at the beginning of the game he's gonna be this corpse that's all rotting and stuff, and then he becomes strong and like rejuvenated. And this could just be like the in between of that, or if it's at the end of the game, it could be like him getting super strength and he like becomes like Demise basically.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. It's
But it could also be another thing is not to cut you off, but another thing it could be is it could be Ganon fusing with some sort of creature or something like that.
well,
Because we see like the furry thing later on that has horns like that. And it could be him fusing with that. Because Ganon has fused with other creatures in the past as well. Like he fused with Yuga in Link Between Worlds, and I think he fused with something else, I think, at some point.
that's what I wanted to mention. It almost looks like the furry with the horn. It almost has like the snout kind of furry
Furry Ganon.
animal. Yeah, furry Ganon. So yeah, I'll be curious to see Demise, Ganondorf, fused furry Ganon, whatever it is, Beefcake Ganon. Um, either way, this is an awesome shot too. With like just like it looks like the moon. Like, did the moon crash into Earth or
I think
Hyrule?
it's just like
I know it's just
yeah,
like a cool
concept.
scene, and I don't think it actually means anything. But that looks crazy. But yeah, keeping on with the story stuff. Um, there's been a lot of theories about what's going on with Zelda, and I think we both kind of come to the same conclusion. I think most people have that she's probably trapped in the past somehow, based on the
Yeah,
fact that we see her sitting outside on
yeah. At
that.
the end of a trailer,
Yeah.
she's on like this round platform thing. That looks like the same platform as the one at the beginning of the trailer, like when Link's falling down.
Hmm.
Except that it looks like cleaner and on the ground.
Right. And I mean, it's worth noting, like, literally every shot we see of Zelda when she's outside, the sky looks so clear. Like, it never looks like that when Link's doing anything. Um, I guess you could argue maybe they're just specifically like showing her from angles where you don't see sky islands, but I don't think so. So either she's in another realm that hasn't had this stuff happen, or she's just in the past. I would say more likely she's in the past because she has the Master Sword and it's not messed up.
Yeah, it's that, but also another thing is in the scene where she's like falling down in the pit. They've changed this multiple times throughout all the trailers, but the final version, I assume that's what this is. The final version. Obviously they changed what Link's hand looks like. It looks like
Hmm.
a little bit burned and stuff. But Zelda actually starts glowing when she's like at the end of the falling like sequence.
Yeah.
So she could be like teleporting to the past or something like that. Which if she teleports to the past to where like the Zonai stuff is new, that tells me that she's probably traveling to, if she's traveling anywhere, it's probably to the era 10,000 years ago when, they originally fought the Calamity Ganon.
Right. Well, on the tapestry, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I guess that'll lead us to our next talking point, which is the girl that is obviously Hylia. Um, she's just a young blonde girl, but she's wearing the same earrings and same like jewelry as Zelda is in this
Yeah.
trailer.
I think she's either Hylia herself, or because obviously Zelda is an incarnation of Hylia, or that
Right.
could just be another incarnation of Zelda. And they sort of all like combine into like one separate dimension or something
Yeah.
in the past.
And I mean, not to jump around too much, but so in this trailer we see all the tiers, right?
Right.
What we're calling Hylia has one on her necklace. Zelda has one, and also I didn't notice this in my frame by frame analysis because once again I was just kind of going for it. All the champions have them too. So Sidon has one. Also, Sidon has the crown now. So I'm assuming,
He's the king,
yeah,
maybe.
Papa Zora dead now. And what's the bird's name? Tulin, I think. Teba's son.
I don't know what the kid's
I
name
think
is,
it's
but
Tulin.
it looks like Teba's son.
Right. Which I'm gonna be honest, I got some comments on my analysis saying that's Teba's son. Don't disrespect Teba's son, bro. I don't even remember Teba having a son. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't remember that. Most forgettable character, most forgettable champion. So yeah, but anyway, they all have the tiers. Ganondorf also has one in his forehead.
Yeah.
What's interesting, Caleb, and I noticed this when we were talking this morning about the trailer, or yesterday morning when you were watching this, um, the tiers have symbols on them. And
Yeah.
the tier that I believe it's a tier that Zelda's holding later in the trailer, it's like a yellow tier. It is the same symbol as the recall ability that we saw in the gameplay demonstration from Aonuma a few weeks back. So if there's, I think there's 7 tiers seen in this trailer. I forget if that's accounting for one that would most likely be a Goron tier. So I don't know if there'd be 8, 7 or 8, whatever it is. Um, which is actually more than we expected, I think.
I think I'm not sure. I think it's between like 6 and 8. I think because in a previous trailer they had like the picture of, I assume, Hylia or whatever that furry was holding like all of them, and there's like 7 of them or something like that.
Right. Um, so I mean that's super interesting, and that's one thing about this trailer too. We didn't see any more new abilities, which I'm glad they didn't because that's what the gameplay demonstration was for. And this is leaving some stuff for us to discover. Now, this is probably also replacing the champion abilities from Breath of the Wild, so technically, I guess it's not technically that impressive, and all these abilities won't be as crazy. You made the theory that the scene where Link's kind of like moonwalking, or there's like a low gravity, that could maybe be an ability, probably just tied to the puzzle he's doing, but it could be an
Yeah.
ability. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear there's going to be a dungeon for each champion. They have the tiers. You need to do the dungeon and help them to get the tier. You get an ability for doing that. So no dungeon items probably, but ability, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah. The thing is with dungeon items though, I don't know. Obviously, with previous Zelda games, dungeon items made sense, but this, because it's so open, I don't really think a dungeon item would really make sense. Um, so I would think an ability or something like that makes more sense than a dungeon item.
Yeah, for sure. I do still want there to be a hook shot though. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I can't believe there was not a hook shot in Breath of the Wild, dude. But yeah, let's talk about those dungeons. So we definitely get some looks at
we
them.
assume are dungeon.
We definitely they have to be, dude. They have to be. So,
Yeah.
well, here's the thing though, right? Okay, so there's obviously the one near Death Mountain. That's clearly a dungeon. It looks like there's like it's partially outside though, so I'm not 100% certain. I mean, a dungeon doesn't necessarily have to be indoors, I guess.
Yeah. Like there's some dungeons that have like outside parts.
Right. They're not super common, but maybe for a game like this, it makes more sense. But yeah, we see like him fighting the construct and the other minecart, and there's like this just huge intricate cave he's in, which looks awesome. In fact, I'm almost wondering this might just straight up be inside of Death Mountain. Maybe Mountain's like hollow or something, and you can just go inside.
Yeah,
of it
like
now.
it could be like the entrance that you see at some point in the trailer. That could be like at the base of the mountain.
Yeah, and
It's like uncovered.
you just go
Something.
inside of it now.
Yeah.
So that's good. And we also see some other shots. We see Link like diving down, and it's like some Mission Impossible stuff. I
Yeah.
almost here's the thing. Here's what when people complain about the Divine Beasts. Yeah, they might not like the blights as bosses, whatever. I think for a lot of people, they're mostly upset that visually they're all the same.
Yeah, that was because they do have like different attacks and stuff like that, and they are technically themed. Like there's Fire Blight, Ganon, and Wind Blight. They have different attacks and stuff, but they just look the same.
Right, and I mean, I'm not even just talking about the blights. I'm talking about the Divine Beasts themselves. They all visually look the
Oh
same, just
yeah,
like the
yeah,
shrines. And I'm kind of getting the feeling, based on the just couple of glimpses we saw of what we presume to be dungeons in this trailer.
the dungeons kind of look similar. On the
Yeah,
outside.
yeah. They all like. There's one shot of he's like in a super narrow corridor gliding. I presume that to be a dungeon. I was thinking maybe just a labyrinth, but it's probably a dungeon, because it's in the same path or like same sequence of clips of like the Mission Impossible scene where he's going through all the lasers, and it's all just like this kind of samey stone architecture, which is fine, but at least from my perspective, when people complain about the Divine Beast from Breath of the Wild, it was mostly about the theming and how they all are visually the same, and they all feel the same. And of course, that you don't get a dungeon item. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Maybe these aren't even dungeons. I mean, they honestly might not be. This could literally just be
Yeah.
a place on the map.
It could be just like an open location, sort of like Hyrule Castle was Breath of the Wild. Well, it's not technically a dungeon, but like it's sort of like its own area.
Yeah, has a map pop up.
Yeah, but another thing I'm thinking is, assuming these are dungeons, there could be dungeons from previous games in this, because the part where he's like in the desert, in the Gerudo Desert, you can see like sinkholes opening up, that is the location in Breath of the Wild that's called Arbiter's Grounds, which is obviously the name of a dungeon from Twilight Princess.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be the same dungeon. It could just be slightly redesigned, obviously. I doubt it's going to be identical. But if it is Arbiter's Grounds, then it would be like sort of reusing a dungeon and be nice to see like that again. Because Breath of the Wild did have a few locations, especially from Skyward Sword, like the fountains and stuff, the shrines or whatever. Not the shrines, but like the you know what I
I
mean,
mean,
the
yeah,
courage fountain
everything
and stuff.
about this iteration of Hyrule and Link and Zelda is so clearly tied to Skyward Sword more than any other Zelda game. Even the
Yeah,
I forget what they were called, the little amber things in Skyward Sword. It looks like the tears. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something else I wanted to talk about is there's a shot in the trailer of Link, and he's in Hyrule Castle, but it's clean. It's all nice and neat. It's not
literally
no
glowing.
malice. It's literally glowing. So I forget who I saw this on. I think it was on Reddit, but people are saying that there will be memories again in this game or something akin to that. Maybe there's like little places on the map where you can like go back to the past. But in Breath of the Wild, a big criticism of that game, you couldn't play them. So
Yeah, they were just
I saw
cutscenes.
people saying maybe they'll fix that in this game and you can actually play through these like story segments and play through Hyrule and get to see it before all the Sky Islands popped up, that kind of thing. I'm not sure how
That,
limited
that,
they would be, but that's what I'm definitely getting the vibe with all the glowing going on in this castle that he's not, because his hands messed up here, right? I think so.
I believe
It's
so. It's
hard to
kind of hard
tell.
to tell. It's like
Right,
blocked by his quiver, but it's kind of hard to tell. But I think so.
right. So yeah, well, he has the vials of like the juice, whatever. So
He's got the juice.
he's got the juice on his hip. So yeah, I mean, if you can play through the memories of these past fragments or whatever you want to call them, that'd be awesome. Just another way
I,
to address the
like
complaints of Breath of the Wild.
yeah, if that's the case and it is memories, then that'd be nice. But to be honest, I think if they are playable, it's going to be quite limited
Sure,
because
they'd be
for
linear
example,
sections.
if that is like a memory that takes place in Hyrule Castle or in Castletown or whatever, you can explore Castletown sort of. You could like walk into a couple of buildings, but you're not going to be able to leave the town.
Yeah.
And it'll be like an NPC be like, "Follow me" or something like that.
Right. Trying to think. What else is there? Oh, there's a. we were talking about this one puzzle. So okay, let's talk about shrines. And when
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep calling them shrines because I honestly think that's what they are. I was talking to my roommate. He was like, "I'm so glad there's no shrines." And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's definitely shrines. So we obviously know that whatever shrines were has been replaced by the green spiral towers. We haven't seen the interior of one of those yet, and I'm sure most of them will have like an interior where you go down and there's just a puzzle inside of it. But I kind of like my idea earlier that I mentioned to you when we were
Yeah.
talking about this, where maybe you activate them and it activates like a Sky Island puzzle or something. Because we see in this trailer, there's a series of platforms with these bubbles that Link is doing. And then later on in the trailer, we see him getting close to the end of it with like a waterfall. And then what I'm guessing is that boss fight with the tar shark looking thing. So it's probably unrelated to those, but it's all like the green Zonai energy looking stuff. So I was thinking maybe they could be connected. Um,
Yeah, it could be like it spawns a challenge or like it starts a challenge outside, like in the actual world.
right.
That'd be cool. Um, and it's sort of like, what is it sort of like? I was thinking this is sort of just on my mind. I don't know because it's a recent game. Sonic Frontiers had like
Ugh.
these mini challenges. Yeah, I know. Sonic Frontiers had like these mini challenges that are in the open world. So maybe something like that.
Mhm.
But also in Breath of the Wild, there was a few shrines where there was something you had to do outside the shrine, and then once you finish it, you go inside and you just get the spirit orb. So it could be something like that.
Yeah. Something else I thought was really cool about this trailer is and this once again kind of goes back to people complaining about Breath of the Wild and how all the cool stuff happened in the past. We actually see Link fighting with the champions. Or the current day champions, whatever you want to call them, right?
Yeah,
We see him
fighting
fighting with
alongside them.
Sidon and Riju. We don't see Yunobo. We see Tulin, Teba's kid. So I don't know how these sections are going to work. I was thinking it's probably just going to be limited to whatever story thing you're doing with them in their area. So like with Tullen, he's fighting. I think it's Tullen. Sorry if I get that wrong. He's fighting
Yeah.
like the ice parasite boss in the
Yeah,
windstorm.
there was something sort of similar in Breath of the Wild with when you're going to Varuta, Sidon is there with you, and you're riding on his back to
Oh
shoot like
yeah.
to disable the divine beast, and same thing with Teba with Vamedo, but they're not actually like attacking the thing. Um, but it could be something similar to that, except you see Sidon actually like attacking with a spear or with a trident in this
It
trailer.
looks a lot more like interactable, real time.
Yeah. I did have a theory, and it's probably not real,
I love this
but
theory.
I said yeah. I was telling Bo uh yesterday when the trailer came out. I said, what if it's like sort of like the Dark Souls or like the Elden Ring multiplayer, where like you can go into someone's world as this character and like fight alongside them in like some limited capacity. That
Yeah.
would be cool. I sort of doubt
It's
it,
obviously
but
not
I
going to
think it'd
happen,
be
but
yeah, it'd
it.
be cool if they did.
I mean, I definitely think at some point they probably were thinking about multiplayer. I mean, this even goes back to the whole "is Zelda going to be playable" thing. We still don't know. I'm leaning towards no, but I don't know, man. The dialogue in
Yeah,
this trailer is weird too, because like
there's also yeah. Going back to that though, there the part where Zelda receives like the tear, she's like holding it. I guess that's the first one she got or something. I don't know, but when she's holding it, she's like, "This is something only I can do," because obviously she's trapped like in the past or something. I
mhm.
assume she's trapped in the past, and she's saying, "This is something only I can do." So maybe like you're playing as Zelda in those sections. There have been in previous Zelda games, you can control another character like in a limited capacity, like in
What's the Wind Waker girl's
Spirit.
name?
Yeah, Medley.
Medley. Yeah.
You can control Medley a little bit, and you could control. There's like a Goron you can control in Phantom Hourglass. Um, but it was always like some limited capacity. Like you could only move around and like do one attack or something like that. But I'm wondering if there was playable Zelda. I I think it'd be really cool, but there's not really much
Don't get your
precedent for
hopes
that.
up.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, it'd be so. It's such an easy win for them too, because like it's gonna be so disappointing if we get this game and we put 300 hours into it, and the entire time Zelda's just trapped.
She's doing something off screen.
But especially because like these trailers hype her up, like I can do this. I need to do this. Like, bro, we both know you're not gonna do shit.
It honestly kind of reminds me in Skyward Sword, where Zelda is like following Impa around, and she's like doing all these things in the temples, but you never get to see it. You
Yeah.
just
Oh
see her
yeah.
at the end of the temple.
Yeah.
Um, which also brings me, not that this is like super related, but Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, and this game is kind of like a trilogy because they're definitely the
Definitely.
most three related games compared to like in story.
Yeah. And I mean, just like yeah, all the little like references and like the goddess
Yeah.
statues and yeah. Now, outside of the trailer though, there actually was a commercial that leaked, which I can't show because Nintendo scary. Even though I think it'd probably be okay, but whatever. And there's something interesting in it. First of all, we see Link fighting the Flame Gleeok, which it looks awesome. Actually, like in the
Yeah.
context of like the Bridge of Hylia, just fighting him, that's gonna be sick. But more importantly, there is a shot of Link underground, and his Z coordinate on the map, because they added the coordinates, is at -500 or -479, or something more like that. Nintendo hasn't really shown underground stuff, so I'm loath to like get too excited about how much there might be.
Yeah, they haven't technically shown it, and I don't think it's gonna be the entire map duplicated underground. It's just gonna be certain caves.
Imagine.
Because like the Sky Islands isn't the entire map; it's like certain sections. I assume it's it's just like certain parts are underground. I don't know if it's
Right.
gonna be like only certain areas you can go underground and access it, or if it's just gonna be like a cave system that you just walk into, or if it's
Right.
gonna be like
I mean, well,
I
like,
don't know.
but like, do you think it'll be comparable to how much they added with the sky?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's gonna be similar to that. It's not. I don't know how much. Obviously, I think the ground area is still gonna be the biggest part of the map with the most stuff to do in it. But I don't know about like how much is gonna be underground,
Yeah. I don't know, man.
especially since they haven't really shown that much of it.
Right. That's why I'm a little hesitant to like get excited, because maybe there's not a ton, so that's why they haven't shown it. But also, here we are, people saying this looks like DLC, and oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. Tears of the Kingdom. The more I watch this trailer, the more I get excited. Obviously, I started my Breath of the Wild replay, so I guess I'm doing that now.
Oh yeah, by the way, that reminds me. There was another detail from that commercial, that leaked commercial. It had when Link was fighting the Gleeok, it had 17 hearts in one row.
Mhm.
So Bo was saying that it could be 20 hearts per row, which
Yeah,
would mean 40 hearts, which implies more content than Breath of the
160
Wild. Breath of the
shrines just
Wild
for the
had
hearts. If you
yeah,
do 4.
Breath of the Wild had 30 hearts max. This seems to have 40 if that's the case.
Right. They could also make like my math probably doesn't check out. If it's 40 hearts, that would be 160 shrines just for the hearts. But I mean, they could change it. Maybe you only need to do 2 shrines to get a heart now, or something like that. You know.
Yeah. It's
Um,
also possible that so in Breath of the Wild you could almost max out the stamina and the hearts
I hope
together.
you can do both in this game. I hated that about Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
That
that
always
was
pissed
the
me
thing.
off.
Yeah, there was like 2 missing. But in in this game I wonder if it is 40 hearts, can you max out that and stamina?
In that case, there's gonna
Or
be like 230 shrines, dude.
yeah, if or on the worst case scenario, it could just be they're missing like 10 hearts if you
Yeah,
max out everything.
30 hearts, and then yeah,
So we have more options in that
yeah.
regard. You can get like way more stamina or way more health, but not like both. I really hope you can max out both, but we'll see.
Dude, I can't wait for the DLC for this game to come out.
Oh, you mean on the 12th?
No. I'm talking about like December 15th when they release the DLC pack.
Oh yeah.
That adds another new area. Before we head off here, I do wanna close with the furry.
Yeah, all right.
So okay, I am not gonna claim to be a Zelda expert. I don't watch Zeltic or all these Zelda YouTubers. Every once in a while I do. I'm sure they're great people, whatever, great videos from what I have seen. But I just don't really do that. I like Zelda a lot, but I'm not like really getting into like the lore and everything as much as other people,
Yeah.
as much as you, Caleb.
Yeah.
So with the Zonai, I'm a little unclear, and I think you are too. So hopefully someone can help us. When we saw this furry in the art book, my immediate assumption was that's a Zonai, because the Zonai are this weird race that we know nothing about, and people have been hyping him up in my head. So I was like, oh, that's gonna be a Zonai. But then I see people saying this girl that we assume is Hylia is a Zonai. What the fuck is a Zonai?
So here's the thing. I always assumed. Well, first of all, there's like different races in Hyrule. There's the Rito, the Zoras, the Gorons, and the Hylians, and the Gerudo. There might be a few more, but the point
Those
is
are the main ones.
this furry character is new. They have not been in a previous Zelda game, as far as I'm aware. But I just assumed that the Zonai were just a tribe of people, that they were just Hylians. I never thought they would be like a new race or anything like that.
Interesting.
Because the Sheikah themselves are Hylians. I'm pretty sure. And there's just like a tribe of Hylians. So I just assumed Zonai were just that, not another like race. It could just be like there's Zonai of different races. That could be like Gerudo Zonai, or like a Hylian Zonai, or a Zora. But this is a new creature that we've never seen
See,
before. So
well, I mean, you've watched more Zelda lore videos than me, so maybe you're more in line with the thinking. But I always thought that when I heard people talk about Zonai, I mean, going back to Breath of the Wild, the Zonai are said to be this like savage tribe, right? That's what the barbarian helm is from Breath of the Wild's DLC, I think, right?
yeah.
I
Well,
always
actually,
thought,
the barbarian gear is just in the base game.
whatever, either way, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When people, the word Zonai to me, that sounds powerful enough to be its own race. And in fact, honestly, I would go as far as to say if it's just Hylians, it's kind of lame. And
Well, the reason
if it's this like mystical race that's been wiped out in Breath of the Wild and they're coming back, I think it'd be cooler if it's this. I mean, I guess the true answer is we just actually don't know. But
yeah, the reason I always assumed that it was just like a group of Hylians was for mostly 2 reasons. One, they were always compared to the Sheikah, which is just another group of Hylians. And 2, they're not in any other game, whereas all the other races that are in Breath of the Wild were in previous games.
right.
So I don't know if they would introduce a brand new like race of creatures,
Right. Well,
which
I mean,
obviously they are.
well,
but...
they are. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Whatever these things are
but
called.
yeah, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there is also the scene of Zelda talking to what I presume is another one of these furries, but like a good version of the furry. Because the one we see like up close is like
The good
menacing.
furries.
This furry looks bad. This is a bad furry. But then there's
Yeah.
like a good furry later on. So let me know. Let us know in the comments below what I'm sure there's people that people have like a freaking logbook of every Zelda fact.
Yeah.
So there's
Let
gonna
us
be like the
know. You
lore
guys read
builders.
Hyrule Historia, and all that. Let us know. Are you a furry? Do you like
Are you a
furries?
furry?
Uh,
No, seriously though, like actually explain this to me. Like I don't know what the difference between. I assume this is a Zonai, but maybe I'm completely wrong. Caleb, I think that's gonna do it for this video. We kind of went all over the place. We mostly talked about the trailer, but we talked about how this game's gonna be fantastic. Do you have any closing thoughts here before we wrap up?
I just think this game looks great, and I am excited to see like what kind of lore and stuff this brings to the table. If there is like that new race that is Zonai, or the furries. I wonder like how that's going to change the Hyrule history and stuff like that, and whether or not Zelda's in the past and how that implies the history of Breath of the Wild and all that. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
interested for the story stuff mostly.
For sure. All right, folks. Thank you so much for watching and listening to us ramble about how damn good this game looks. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my upcoming Tears of the Kingdom coverage. I've been posting videos pretty much daily, sometimes more than once a day, and we'll continue doing that up to release. Sometimes with Caleb, sometimes not. Of course, Caleb, you can follow him on Twitter at Caleb_Bravo99. He also has a YouTube channel. Go tell him to upload. And
Yeah, I have not. I don't expect anything.
I'll force him. All right, folks. Until next time. Bye-bye.
See you later.